A very good afternoon to all of you. It's a real privilege to start the session with such distinguished panelists. It's a theme session on closing the loop, empowering climate action through circular education, being organized by Mobius Foundation in partnership with Central Institute of Technology, Rajhad. A very brief introduction about myself. I am Dr. Avik Mukherjee. I'm an associate professor in Food Engineering and Technology Department at Central Institute of Technology, Kokrajhar. Along with me, we have distinguished panelists here. Professor Dr. Vimal Katiyar, Dean R&D and Professor of Chemical Engineering Department, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. He is going to chair the session. We have Mr. Prabjot Singh Sodhi, Senior Program Director, Circular Economy, Center for Environment Education, Ahmedabad. He's going to be the co-chair. Among the speakers, besides them, we have Dr. Santosh Kumar, Assistant Professor and Head of the Department, Food Engineering of Technology, Central Institute of Technology, Kokrajhar. We have Dr. Manoranjan Hota, Advisor, Skill Council of Green Jobs, ex-advisor of MOEFCC, Government of India. And we have Mr. Bhaskar Let, Senior Manager, Business and Strategy, Recity, Mumbai. So it's a great pleasure to have all of you for this present in this session. I know there are 5 other parallel sessions going on, so it is understandable to have a little thinner audience, but let's, without any further delay, first I would like to invite Professor Dr. Vimal Katiyar, Department of Chemical Engineering in IIT Guwahati, to kindly start with his initial remarks. Professor Katiyar.
So thank you, Dr. Abhijit. I'm Vimal Katiyar. I'm a faculty in Department of Chemical Engineering at IIT Guwahati. And these days I'm working on the sustainable polymers, sustainable plastics, and also working with different forums to how to cater the need, how to replace these plastics, but I'm not going to give a presentation right now. So as we understood that today's session is very much into the circularity and sustainability, and I really felt that if we really talk about the decades, we are very much discussing about the use. Excuse me. Okay, it's here. The circularity. So that is what really what we are going to discuss. And first of all, I would like to thanks to the Mobius Foundation who have really arranged this particular sessions on circularity. And thanks to all the panelists who are here today and the esteemed panelists, and we'll be going to discuss, and we'll really request to our all audience, all these other stakeholders to please be involved and discuss, and if you could able to come up with some guidelines onto it. So being a teacher, generally I used to talk about thermodynamics, And when we discuss about thermodynamics, we always talk about the system and surrounding, and then we're trying to compare that how the transfer of mass momentum or heat has to be transferred from a system to surrounding. But once I'm here and discussing, I really felt that if you're really going to set an analogy, that I will set an analogy among us, our civil society, and with the nature. And if you really would like to bring a boundary between this, we as a civil society always believe in creation and production of waste. And we all are acting and adding this to our motherland. So if you're really going to see that what exactly we do, our job is to create a waste what we are doing it, and our motherland, our nature, is creating a waste what we are generating. It was really wonderful, it was good, it was going in line when the rate of generation of a waste has been taken hand to hand by our nature. But what is the scenario right now? If you're really going to see the projections in another 2050, we need to have a 3 Earth space to regenerate the waste what we are producing it. So now the crux is here that what to do with it. Are we going to, the first is that we have to take in both the aspect. One is the beginning of life aspect of a chemicals and the products, and another is the end of life option of these products. So we have to work on a beginning of life and to end of life. These what we understood, that how to take it out from utilizing our resources to make it a value added product, and once after a service life, how we have to brought it back to the nature as an end of life options. These two components we understood very well. But what about in between? That has to be discussed in order to improve the efficiency and the performance of the raw material what we are using for a very many applications. So far we understood that the great model is the production and consumption is a great model, and that let's all that, and thereafter we can forget it. But this is not going to work it out in the future. It means we have to come out from the linear economic mindset to the circular mindset. We have to figure it out at each steps, whether it is a generation of the resources or availability of the resources, how to utilize the best, how to take these resources to make a more value out of it. It could be that the product what we are using, for example, I'm a plastic person, I used to talk about, now you might have seen, there are an advertisement going and stating that this is a green plastic. And some of the bottles you might have seen with the leaves, green leaves, it doesn't mean that it's going to be solve all the problems. But the one aspect has been given that this particular plastic has come from the renewable feedstock, which is going to reduce the carbon cycle, and that way it's going to helpful to the society. We call it the bioplastic. In another case, sometime we discuss about the end of life option, that it is a compostable plastic, biodegradable plastic. It is perfectly all right because it is going to help to reduce a carbon, remove the carbon, the residual carbon from an environmental compartment. But now the time has come how judiciously we can utilize the chemicals at the initial stage to reaching to the final. It means we could have developed a practice to utilize these chemicals in a multiple time. It means the raw material of the next step could come from the waste from the first step. If we can do like this, we could able to minimize the resources utilization, and same time effectively we could able to use the resources. And finally, we have to figure it out that we should not add to the environment, add a burden to the environment. It means alternative policies, alternative processes has to be adopted. That is what we are going to discuss in today's forum. And eminent the panelists are here, and they will be going to touch upon with their different the experiences, and later we will be discussing for how to move forward and to come up with some common outcome. So So with this, I will again once thank you to one and all who are here for discussing on this. Now I would like to invite, so I really request to all our panelists to please take 2 minutes time to introduce yourself, your organization, as well as how they are contributing to some way or other to the circularity. So now I would like to invite Dr. Manoranjan Hotaji. No, sir, you have a flight. So Dr. Mr. Prabhu Singh Sori, Senior Program Advisor, Circular Economy, Center for Environment Education, Ahmedabad. Please, sir, floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Katiyar. I think so you laid a very resilient, robust foundation for the discussion today. And can you put the presentation on, please? What I'm going to be talking here is that taking the topic on, yeah, the third one, please, the third, yes, this one. So, you know, we are talking about circular economy. Let me tell you a small story before I get into it. But myself, I'm based in Delhi in Center for Environment Education. I need not introduce Center for Environmentation to you because we had Kartikeya Sarabhai, who is the director for CE, and as regards myself, I've been taking care of plastics as a basic program here in Delhi. And before that, I was in UNDP for about 5-7 years in plastics, and other than that, 15 years for grants program. And I was sharing the other colleague that my initial 12 years were working with tribal areas, developing natural resources through the British ODA fund. Coming to it, I was telling you the story, 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes? Thank you. I was telling you a story. I was sitting in my UNDP office and we were attending a big workshop where I was speaking like today. तो मुझे एक आदमी पूछता है कि circular economy, you are head of the circular economy in UNDP. What is it? Circular economy is a Western concept and has been put on India as such. So I was pretty shaken away. I said, what a question. And he was the organizer. So, you know, I had to be full of dignity to him as a mark of respect. I said, while I agree what you say, but I totally disagree what you say also. So there was a bit of a laughter and people were saying what this guy is trying to tell you. The story behind it is that circular economy is nothing but using the materials to its fullest extent. There is no waste. And you are reusing, recycling, redesigning. So I said, it cannot be a Western concept. It goes 2,000 years back in India. But it is packaged in English. And that's why you are right that it is a Western concept, because it has just come in line from 2016 onwards. It started floating very heavily. And it's packaged in India as circular economy. And that is why you are saying. So that's the story. It ends. I had to then tell him with a lot of examples, and there was audience, and it was in a big platform, plenary session. So when I'm talking about this to you, this is about Center for Environment Education. You can see the young Kartikeya. You saw the one with about 40 years of experience now. This is in 1984. This is the first meeting, and Amma is also there, Vikram's wife. And we have Nanubai Amin sitting in the center, who is the head of the Jyoti Industries, then a big powerhouse. And of course, T.N. Khushu was the first Secretary of Environment, Government of India. That's where CE was born, and it became a center of excellence for the Ministry of Environment and Forest. Club it up. Now, I just said you, it's all cutting down on waste. Whatever you are doing, circular economy is a part of that, what you're doing, as long as you are not wasting the resource and you are transforming or adding value to it and taking it to an extended life cycle. So, you know, what do I mean by an extended life cycle? If there is a cloth which we are using, it might have got worn out, it has torn, but we have cut it into small pieces and we are reusing it into the, as in Indian homes everybody does, that is extending the life cycle of the product. And many other ways there are. I just talk what is naturally understood by us, and there are many ways you are extending the life of the cycle. Our books, we are passing from one to the other, not purchasing. So you are doing all these in simple terms. So Dr. Katayar said we have to move from a linear to a circular. I'll share with you some of the point I really want to make is, the world produces nearly 1 million metric tons of plastic waste each day. Just imagine 365 million metric tons. And this is going to be going higher, 2.5 to 3 times in the next 3 decades. Plastic is not a bad material, please. Don't misunderstand me. It's a very good material. It's been in the wall of our heart, our knees. So it is a non-reactive element. But without getting into the details of it, when we litter it up, when we throw it, the packaging plastic becomes a problem. Otherwise, the plastic is a good material which goes into most durable way of use. So let's not make plastic as the real problem. But the real problem is the basic people who are handling it. Companies are wanting to make packaging in such a manner that it becomes attractive, it promotes their buying, but it does not see that that package needs to be recycled also, needs to be collected, and we throw it everywhere. We are using in every form the plastic, whether it's a small tea bag, we pack it 3 times and then we cut this from this way. So all these sort of problems are the ones we really need to take care. Government of India really in 2016, let me tell you, framed this, and Government of India really looked into it, that our material consumption is really going high. To help you out, India consumes 1620 metric tons per acre. The world average is 480. We are 4 times the production. Now you will say we are 17 times the population. We are 3 times the area. You can have these numbers. When it comes to the global resources of material, we are only about 8 billion metric tons. And the world total is 200 billion tons. All these figures are of Government of India, Niti Aayog. They created 11 sector committees in which they said that we have to develop a system, and more than 200 people from the government, from the non-government side, and from the IITs, they were all trying to see how best these materials can be having an extended period of life, or can be looking at circular economy, and how can we reduce the virgin plastic. Now, 11 sector committees meant not plastics alone. It is electronic, it's ferrous to non-ferrous metals, it is rubber and tires. So all these material consumption drafted these, and these government guidelines were then brought into the state level, and then state level is being implemented. You know, Government of India has created Jal Shakti Ministry, an amalgamation of drinking water, as well as Jal Jeevan Mission, as well as the other aspects of Swachh Bharat Mission. And in this, they are hitting at all the country level, and they are pushing. So the responsibility, then government started creating, how do we make business responsible? How do we make citizens responsible? And now they have come up with a notification very recently, which is known as the Green Credit Notification. And this notification is a very, very good document, and please read it. Each one of you must read that document. It entitles you to uncover the goods you are doing into a monetized manner. And they are coming up with a monetized plan, and green credits is an action which has gone to citizens. If I cycle every day, I have to just show my traceability and transparency. How do I measure this back? It's a path-breaking program which the Government of India has done, and our Honorable Prime Minister is very, very keen on this to be taken up to every individual. You know, look at the waste. I've got some photographs, and that's what I'm going to do the next 4 or 5 minutes, which I have. This is what the collection is happening in the rural India. So we in CE are managing a large project of about $7 million in 12 cities in the country, and somewhere rural and somewhere urban. And we are partnering with, mind you, ULBs, who are mandated by the Constitution of India for the waste management. So ULBs means urban local bodies, or rural, PD, DRDA, or Zilla Parishad, CEO. So this is all in villages. So just imagine, villagers don't want to throw it away. They keep their resources, and that's how we fill trucks and truckloads, and it has all got value. It's big money. And we are paying them 10 rupees per kilo of mixed plastic. Show you some more slides. Just see this, how this is being collected, segregated. Now, you would say that it's very dirty, it's very ill-organized, and that's exactly what the whole thing should be. And we will reorganize that, we will segregate that, and then it goes to the... Now, you see, this is another thing which I want to pitch in. People have knowledge, and we need to recognize that. And we are recognizing all groups of people with whom we work. We draw maps in the village. I asked them one simple question. यार आपने तो कमाल कर दिया. नहीं सर, आपने ही तो बताया ये. Sorry. You have done this. You have told us to do. I don't know anything. I said, but I don't know your village. I cannot draw the map of your village. You have drawn it, and you have been helped by your colleagues. All we are trying to do is who is knowledgeable, who is doing, and who is taking decisions. If we give that empowerment to people, I have only one of my colleagues sitting there in the center, and all the women are telling him how to do, telling her how to do. I'll just imagine, we in the urban sectors, in the cities, are throwing our bulbs or electric into the dustbin. As we lose it, we just throw it. People in the villages, they store it. I was shocked when we did this collection and we found thousands of bulbs there, tube lights. And I asked them, kitni der se aapke paas? They said about 6 months, 8 months. Anyway, time is rushing out. You see the bottles. They are collecting. Their first time driving these rickshaws. Thanks to Jal Shakti, they are giving all this. Thanks to Swachh Bharat Mission, Rural, Gramin. Just imagine, another truckloads coming out. We have these small collection centers across the panchayats, not in every panchayat, but clubbing them up. And that's how we do. I'll just skip this, but closing the loop when we are saying is that we need to rethink how to design things. We need to rethink how the ownership is. We need to rethink how I'm consuming the products. I'm just consuming and then throwing it, and that's not my responsibility. How can I reduce, reuse, recycle, refurbish? Hamari ek ghadi kharab hoti thi, so we used to repair it 10 times, even more than the cost of the original product. That's India. That's all developing countries. So it's not that it's a word coming from the West or others. We have a habit, and that habit needs to be really kept on and flowing, and smart materials. Now Apple Watches have come. India government has introduced a law to repairability. Anyway, we'll discuss that next time. So I am trying to show you all, this is the last slide, sir. This is how we can reduce the virgin materials. When virgin materials are reduced, that means you are producing less plastic. That means you are it is having an effect on the climate change directly at the consumption level. When the plastic is produced, there is enough energy being used, and that we are limiting it. We don't see the aspect across the circular loop, how much of carbon emissions you are checking it out by just simply reusing the whole shop. Because your virgin material reduces, production reduces, then the whole cycle gets done. And this is the material finance flow system, how we have developed in our project. But, you know, service provider, waste material inflow, weighbridge clip, purchase invoice, secondary waste material processed, and then the waste material outflow, weighbridge scale, recyclers, sale invoice, then goes the loop. Materials keep coming, materials keep going. That's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Sodhi. It was so enlightening talk, and you touched upon all the aspect of circularity and use. Now, because time is limited, we'll discuss later on. Now, I would like to request Dr. Santosh Kumar. He is Assistant Professor and Head of the Department of Food Technology at CIT Kokrajhar. So please, now floor is yours. We have 10 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Katiyar. Can we have the PPT? Yeah, so myself, Dr. Santosh Kumar, Assistant Professor and HOD, Department of Food Engineering Technology, CIT Kokrajhar, Central Institute of Technology, Kokrajhar. Actually, I am working mainly on the biodegradable plastics for the food packaging applications, particularly for the active and intelligent packaging systems. So today I will be talking on edible films and coating as sustainable alternatives to non-biodegradable plastics packaging. So Yeah, so how the edible films and coatings could be an alternative to the bio non-degradable or petroleum-based synthetic plastics. So we are going to discuss on this. So we can see everywhere means plastics at every corner of earth. It is loaded with the plastics. This such kind of the picture we can see everywhere. Just in the previous slide, in the previous presentations, Sudhis has also showed such kind of the images. So that not only limited to the earth, it also goes to the oceans and seas. And now it's transferred to the, ultimately going to the animals, body of the animals. It was found that even the stomach of the fish has the plastic beads. Not only that, this picture of the turtle was the very famous. Actually, it has a plastic straw in his nostril, and so that was quite famous. So how could we can minimize at least such kind of the plastics, those being used mostly for the food packaging or the food consumption process. Not only that, in a recent study conducted last year actually in Netherlands, it was found that out of the blood sample has been taken from the 22 members, healthy members, and that upon testing it was found that 17 of the members, it has the plastics in their blood samples. So that plastic was in the size of the greater than 700 nanometers. It's a kind of the microplastics. So even the human being blood is detected with the plastics. That plastics in the blood was mostly has the plastic which we used into the food packaging applications. That like a polyethylene terephthalate PET, which is used mostly for the drinking water bottles. Polyethylene and polymers of styrenes was found into the blood samples. It was about 1.6 microgram per ml of the blood samples. So that plastics, ultimately, what is the solutions for the synthetic plastics or petroleum-based plastics? So recently being in concept that the composite plastics or the composite plastics, that's a mixture or blending of the synthetic plastics with the biopolymers so that it could be becomes degradable. So the degradable part, the biopolymers can be degraded by the microorganism or the insect present in the soil. But what about the non-degradable part? That ultimately leads to the microplastics or the nanoplastics. That could be more fatal than the plastics molecules. If it goes into the water system, it goes into the food chains. So that could be more fatal than the plastics. So we have reviewed, when I was in Sweden, then that time I have reviewed the lifespan of the different types of the plastics. And most of the degradable plastics, if you go, that it has the 1 to 3 months lifespan. It could degrade into the soil. Some of them have the lifespan little more, about 1 year. But if you come to the synthetic plastic or petroleum-based plastics, that lifespan goes up to 500 years. A plastic bottle which we use to drink a water, we can take it within 5 minutes, but it takes to degrade about 500 years, 450 years to degrade into the soil or in a normal conditions. Actually, degradation depends upon the certain conditions of where it is, whether it is soil or whether it is a water system. Even the water system, it takes more time compared to the soil systems. So what about the non-reusable, non-recycling plastic? According to the Earth Policy Institute USA, nearly 2 million plastic bags we are using every minute worldwide. These bags are usually not recyclable, and best approach is to limit the use of such kind of the plastic bags. Only we can reduce their usage. So that's why we come into concept with the edible films and coating that could minimize at least the usage of such kind of the single-use plastics. So what is the edible films and coating? Edible films and coating are the only type of the biodegradable polymer packaging that does not require individual collections and special disposal conditions, because it's a edible, so we can consume it. Okay, so this is the primary packaging for the edible ingredients, which is most cases requires external or secondary packaging. Edible films are not meant to or could not they ever replace non-edible outer packaging, but it can minimize the use of the single-use synthetic plastics. So edible, what is the difference here? Coatings and the edible films. Coating are the thin layer we usually coat on the surface of the foods. Particularly we are using for the fruits and vegetables, so that it could extend their shelf life and also minimize the single-use plastics. However, edible films applied on a thin protective sheet, or it will be the food components. What is the difference between the compostable plastic and edible plastic is that edible plastic we can consume it. We can consume it even after the disposal. If you can't consume it, then it can consumed by the animals. And we have the digestive enzyme in our stomach or in the animal stomach that can digest it or that can mineralize it into their simpler forms. Again, it can be taken up by the plants and it can be recycled like that. So compared to even the microbial mechanism where the degradation is done, basically the oxidation or hydrolysis is done. So rather than that, it could completely mineralization takes place when we form it into as a edible films and coating rather than the compostable plastics or degradable plastics. How it is done, how it is made, we usually do by the casting method. So certain instruments are there to cast it, and on the laboratory scale we used doctor's blade for the coating, for making such kind of the plastic films. That plastic film can be colored using the natural colors, natural plant-based or plant-based colors like anthocyanin or some another coloring agents. So where it can be used, such kind of the edible coatings and films where we can use for the wrapping of the candy. We can use it as a wrappers for the candy. Not only that, it can also carry some natural anti-caries additives, so that can also protect us from the teeth infections, like the oregano oil and cinnamon oil and etc. It can be loaded with these films with these active agents. Portion packaging such as the honey packaging, sugar packaging, spices packaging, edible butters packaging. Even for the baking of the cakes, cupcakes, we can use such kind of the plastics, edible plastics. We can see the difference here, the paper and the other edible plastics that actually stick with the material, and we can consume together with the such cakes. Oh, sorry. So not only that, even it can be used as for the instant noodle spices. Spices can be mixed into the noodle, and just after adding some hot water, it will be dissolved. That packaging will dissolve, and spices will be mixed into the water. So not only that, it can be also used for the wrapping or the coating of the food items. In this picture, one picture we can see that there is a wrapping of the film which is made from the biodegradable polymer, and we can add the active agents such as antimicrobial agent and antioxidants, or even the other agents. We can use it into such kind of the films that can actively help to protect the food items that being packaged. So it can extend their shelf life up to a few weeks. Not only that, here in this tomato, we have coated with the certain materials, certain biopolymers agents, so that can extend the shelf life of the tomato. You can see after 3 weeks how the without coated tomato and the difference between the coated tomato. So what we done in the CIT, we have developed several films and coating in our institute, CIT Kokrajhar. Some of them we are showing here. You can see the agar-based film we developed for the wrapping of the grapes. That films we loaded with the zinc oxide nanoparticles, and then you can see the difference between the wrapped one and the without wrapped one. Also, we developed gelatin-based films that was also used for the red grapes, packaging of the red grapes. You can see the difference here. Not only that, we have also developed the coating formulations, a liquid-based coating formulation that can directly, we have based on the eugenol, nanoemulsion, aloe vera gel, and chitosan polymers. So that coating formulations we have sprayed over the pineapple fruits, and we could manage to extend the shelf life of 2 to 3 weeks of the pineapple, up to 3 weeks actually. So even that we have further extended our work, and that we have tested certain natural wax like carnauba wax or celiac wax, and that wax also applied on the citrus fruit, and you can see the results. We have again the extension of the shelf life takes place 2 to 3 weeks. So my conclusion is complete replacement of the synthetic packaging is impossible, but its use may be limited through the development of edible films and coating for certain community groups. At the same time, edible packaging material can also improve the safety and taste of the food. So we can use the edible material rather than the synthetic plastics, and we can also extend the shelf life of the food items up to a few weeks to a month. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Santosh, for very enlightening talk, and you have touched upon a very important aspect of polymer utilization. So we'll discuss later on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll request the audience to participate during a open session. But now I take the opportunity to invite Dr. Manoranjan Hooda. He is an advisor, Skill Council of Green Jobs, New Delhi. And sir, now floor is you. We have only 10 minutes, sir.
Yeah, I'll try to squeeze my things to that time. Thank you, Dr. Katiyar, and thank the Mobius Foundation to give me an opportunity to be here. It's a pleasure to deliberate on the circularity, particularly when talk of the plastics. I remember way back when we drafted the plastic waste management rules in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So I really had to struggle that how to develop the terms of references, the parameters to be discussed, the parameters to be tested. So there I found there is a lot of anomalies in our fraternity, that who will collect, who will segregate, what is the role of municipalities, and what is the, and even if you finalize the roles, whether our sister ministries will be supporting, all those kind of things were coming up. So, but today when we talk of so much of technology, so I thought it will be probably an appropriate forum where we can discuss that who will do this, and therefore to do this, whether do have the equivalent education, because we are talking of the scrap dealers, we are the scrap collector, so they don't have a formal education, so they need a skill. So what we need a skill is, now we are talking of in a more fashionable terms, the green skill, green jobs. So what are those? I just wanted to touch upon those, people who are working in the background to make your circularity, circular economy, and our rules for plastic waste management more successful. So please allow me to go through that. How can we develop a kind of a workforce to justify and to do justice for our survivability in this planet? So we have been growing evolutionary process from the linear economy to recycle economy. Now we are talking about circular economy. Now we know that what are these issues in all those, what are the problems we had in linear economy. Now what we had a problem with recycle economy, we have all those 4 hours, 5 hours, people are talking about 7 hours, but are they so helpful? Now we are talking of a new fundamentals, a circular economy, which is more useful. I mean, I was just talking to Dr. Katiyar that we must have, you are only in the farm, or we need to take it to fork. So we are, all the circularity is from farm to fork, the circularity. So therefore, the plastic which you are using, at a virgin plastic should not be destroyed in the landfill. So how can this be in a circularity? And who will be doing that? That is the key issue which we will be discussing. This is a typical, flow chart. We have resources, natural resources. We get those resins, we get those plastics, we get into the manufacturing, and in manufacturing we devise so many kind of utilities from the plastics, and then we recycle it. And by recycling, and then before that we consume it, use it, recycle it, but there are waste. Now, this waste, when we want to give them back to the nature, as it can be utilized for future generation, so who will do it? Where this can be done? And how this can be done? This is what we require in those in detail, that our skill work can be enshrined into this. Now, when you talk of the employment in production, employment in environmental process, and then there are decent jobs. So basically what you are trying to do, where do you have find out the green jobs in the entire circularity movement? So not only in the circularity in particular, but there are in other environmental issues as well. When we talk of the wastewater management, when we talk of the waste management in other areas like municipal waste or electronic waste or biomedical waste. So therefore, there has to be a particular set of people who will be doing a decent job, and which we call as a green jobs. So the ILO very beautifully has defined the skills for all workforces, all sectors and all levels in order to help adaptation of products, services and processes. This is the key. When you talk of the plastic waste management, or any, for that matter, any waste management in a very small scale or it is a large scale, what is required is all sectors, all levels, and adaptability of the products, services and processes for transformation due to the climate change and environmental requirements and regulations. So these are the key areas where we need to have those skilled people who can help us in doing a job for our waste management or circularity. Now, we have a brief survey which says that the new jobs which will be created in existing new occupation, now currently in the very modest, solar panel technicians, organic farmers, recycle managers are the very modest. But which are the large, which will be in coming years, where the skilling and the education will be required, because the theme of this conference is the sustainability education. So therefore, we need to emphasize upon that what will be the most sought after job, particularly in the skilling area, will the operators, workers, managers. Particularly when Mr. Sodhi was talking about those trucks which are coming loaded with the plastics, who will manage that? Who will the operators will manage? You in the IITs, you will develop a beautiful packaging material. It will go to the market, but after all, this will be managed by those people which Mr. Sodhi has taken into those yards where that segregation. So therefore, those are the areas which will be really requiring the large area where this can be done, and particularly the cleaner production in manufacturing, retail services without packaging, bottle companies changing into new material products, and those areas are now required in when we talk of circularity. Those are the catalyst in the circularity. So therefore, we have to bring in. We must see that which will be the best workforce we are preparing with your material here. Now, we have also how can you change the skill as a result of green transition or by skill level. So we are not talking about the circularity when it comes from the manufacturer to the user, but we also see that how this can be used and properly managed. We see that there is a highly skilled occupation is required in meteorologists, climate change scientists, energy auditors, and here when we talk of the circularity, there is a big gap in the energy audit. When you talk of energy, then we can talk of all these, right from the manufacturer and to the gravel to grape. And therefore, we need to have those low-skilled occupants, the medium-skilled and the high-skilled occupation. How can they help us in doing this circularity? And what actually the most common policies to create green jobs as per the United Nations Environment Program is largely the government policies. See, I was in the government for more than 33 years. So I know how the policies are being made. The policies are being made largely when you talk of the subsidies, carbon markets, tax reforms, energy alternatives. Now we are talking of the carbon credits now. eco-labeling, which we started long back in 1988, I suppose. Yes. So those have never been seen. But you have those skilled manpower with this, so probably we would have more, kind of accelerated all those, policy types into the ground reality and action. So these are the primary areas when we are talking of the skilling, development, knowledge, ability, values. We have an agency here in Delhi as one of the verticals of Skill Development Council, Skill Council for Green Jobs, which are dealing with all those, developing the green skills, knowledge, ability, largely into this waste management sector and solar and other areas as well. So therefore, by doing this, we are actually complying with the Sustainable Development Goal 9, the 12, which talks of the infrastructure, retrofitting industries, and also we're talking of the sustainable management of efficient use of natural resources, particularly when we talk of circularity or when we talk of your, the new plastic wrapping or plastic packaging, which my previous speaker was talking of. So that will be required to have how this can be changed into the market and the circularity. That is how we are trying to do the transition from the low carbon and resource efficient economy requires a systemic change. You produce a product, you come to the market, so how this can be properly catalyzed? Probably the scaling and green job will be a help in this direction. So these are all what we are trying to say, that how can we develop our green economy and skill, largely with the structural changes, new economic activities, and of course maybe we have to enhance some of the new, many existing occupations, particularly solar or in the waste management as well. These are when we talk of circularity, we are talking of the operation management skills. We also need to have monitoring skills, because as per our plastic waste management rules, there has to be monitored. A state pollution control board has to prepare an annual report, sent to the state central pollution control board, and central pollution control board in turn sends to the ministry. So that monitoring is not only, but also the management at the ground level, but also see how this environmental impact are much more. I'm sure, Suri Sahab, your program must be integrating all those issues, not only for the collection segregation, but also a part of the environmental management as well. But I would urge you, maybe you may be doing, but probably you must do some kind of skilling in these the workers who will be doing it. So these are the circular economy. When we talk of by 2030, these are the areas when we talk of the recycle and biofuels, bio-based fuels, chemicals will be much more in future for the when we talk of circularity. So waste management see a better future, including the plastics when we talk of the circularity. Circularity is not only the area of plastic, but also it goes to the municipal solid waste and the electronic waste as well. So therefore, there are challenges, but as we know, if there are challenges, there are more opportunities as well. So therefore, we must learn how to deal with challenges and how to change the challenges to more opportunities. Particularly when you are talking of the monetized waste or the long, lengthen the waste recycle materials. See, we are talking of all this waste management or education. Yeah, I'll just another one. So how this can be done? Many in all the international conventions, particularly the climate action program, they also have a lot of thrust on the how you translate your classroom things to the public through education and public awareness. So therefore, that need to be seen in much more closely. So in conclusion, I will leave some food for thought that there has to be a skilling, reskilling and upskilling, not only just covering the technical skills, but also the core and soft skills such as environmental awareness, analytical skills, teamwork, innovation, communication. These are the major issues when we talk of circularity. The entire loop has to be connected. Then of course we are talking of the technological changes, globalization, demographic change, trends. Those needs also to be seen, that how this can be bring into the loops. Then we also recognize the occupational needs and the skill gaps, and of course the environmental challenges and effective skill response strategies. probably that need to be seen. I think I had to rapidly close it up all of thing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, given opportunity for this,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Kataria and Mobius
Thank
Foundation.
you very
Thank
much
you.
for such an enlightening lecture. Really, we would like to continue, but we have a limited time, only for 10 minutes. Sorry for it. But you know that it has been given new dimensions. Might be many of the students might be sitting here thinking about the circularity is only about the materials, but basically the skills and the employment and the job is a complementary, I mean to say integral part of the circularity. So if you really look after the circularity, we have to look after the people. And even though if we can address this particular issue, automatically we'll be addressing our need what we really going on. And so thank you very much for putting this aspect to all of us. So thank you very much once again. So now our new another speaker. So now I would like to invite Mr. Bhaskar Lat. He is a senior manager, business and strategy, RECT Mumbai.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to begin by extending my sincere thanks to Mobius Foundation for hosting this insightful event. I must confess, this is my first panel discussion, and to present in such an extinguished panel, it feels like I'm trying to teach meditation to the gurus. Nerve-wracking, but also enlightening. This wealth of knowledge which the panel has shared, it's awe-inspiring. And I would like to do some justice with what I present. So my question is, how did we reach here when we see floods in Delhi or snowfall in Afghanistan? We have forest fires in Canada and cyclones in Myanmar. How did we reach here? What are the foundations of today's climate risk? I believe answer is this. Our belief in the idea of high levels of consumption, extravagance, and exclusive ownership is the way forward for a good and successful life. Globally, nearly 100 billion tons of resources are being extracted, and only 7.2% of it is being brought back to circularity. Our population have increased only by 2x, but at the same time, our material consumption has increased by 3x in last 50 years. These are some of the facts which tells how, what kind of pressure we have put in on earth and the environment we live in. So here I will try to share how ReCity is a circular waste management company and how we approach the problem and the solution of circular economy education to transform the cities in which we live in. So first piece for us is culture and beliefs, which give birth to our behaviors and actions. Second is systems and information, which create accountability and transparency. And third one is our focus, which needs to be on the industry and workforce for ensuring well-being and dignity of the people who are participating in the circular economy. I would like to quickly share a case study of one of our projects in Pondicherry known as Keep Namma Pondi Clean. So first piece, culture and beliefs. How do we focus on intervening with culture and beliefs for changing behaviors and the actions of the people like us and the citizens of Pondicherry? So we engage with citizens using multiple awareness and education interventions to build their understanding towards their role in making Pondicherry a circular economy of waste. We build their understanding on waste management, waste as a resource, and hence the need for source segregation. ReCity has established a material recovery facility in Pondicherry with the help of local administration. We believe our children who are going to play a crucial role in our future, it is important to experience and gain practical understanding of resource recovery, management and their role in it. Hence, we have been able to expose nearly 10,000 students only with this one small material recovery facility And right now we are building 3 huge material recovery facility across 3 cities in India. We implement events for instilling a sense of collective strength, creating momentum in cities, creating competitions and different kind of cleanup drives in different parts of, wherever we are running our projects. Second piece is systems and information. When we are talking about systems and information, we have worked extensively with urban local bodies and deployed our waste intelligence technology platform. We believe that the local administrative systems in our cities require support of private institutions, and we have worked with them to build their capacity by sharing insights on new technologies, identifying key bottlenecks for achieving Swachh Sarvekshan goals, and building a roadmap for transforming the city. We have deployed our unique ID-based technology platform known as Waste Intelligence to track the collection level, segregation level, efficiency of waste professionals in a city. I would request all of you to scan this QR code and just see the kind of traceability which we have been able to build because of our technology platform from source to its end of life. It's a demo transaction which you can see. Is it happening with the camera? Yeah? So that is the kind of traceability we want to build and the accountability that we want to build by creating the source to end of life solutions. Next is our technology platform educate the local administration and partners about the social and environmental impact of their actions on real-time basis. And technology development has been the simplest part, but the most difficult part has been the adoption of the same due to high levels of resistance and informal nature of the waste industry. Hence, I will not claim that we have been 100% successful, but we are on the path towards the same. Now we come to the most important aspect of our work. We have been talking about circular economy, and which focuses on recovering, reusing, and recycling of resources. But as we went deeper, we realized that the circular economy must have a very strong goal towards improving the lives of its workforce and industry at large by educating them. This is when we came across a new term known as socially restorative circular economy, coined by Anna Barford and Safi Rose Ahmed. It focuses on different aspects of well-being of workers in the waste management system. We focus on creating occupational survey, creating the profiles of all the workers, ensuring that they have all the requisite documents to be recognized as waste workers in government and community. We ensure legal access to waste, minimum wage, and additional livelihood generation activities. We have conducted health camps, workplace safety education sessions, and ensured adoption of waste uniforms across Pondicherry. And we have educated 700 plus waste workers about the social security schemes which they are entitled to and can benefit from. In Pondicherry itself, 2,000 plus workers and their family members have been benefited from the access to these schemes. So this is how ReCity uses its knowledge, experience, and educative techniques for developing a socially restorative circular economy of waste. I would quickly like to show a video of how it happens. So our impact till now across 24 cities has been that we have closed the loop of 55,000 metric tons of waste. We have educated nearly 1 crore consumers. We have professionalized 3,000 plus waste workers and informal supply chain actors. And additionally, we have been able to unlock nearly 6 million USDs for building the infrastructure, waste management infrastructure for urban local bodies and the waste supply chain. In the end, I would like to say that we can fix the environmental damage that we have created with the belief embedded in the concept of kintsugi, a Japanese art of mending broken objects using gold and silver proxy. The Japanese believe that when something has suffered damage and has a history, it becomes more beautiful. And I believe we can do the same with our conscious and need-based actions. Thank you so much.
So more or less the time is over. It's just 3:20. Now the session should be open for a discussion. So I'm just going to cut down my time because the discussion is more important rather a deliberation always from one side. So I'm not going to, maybe I'll just scroll some of the slides. But it was really a nice presentation with all the esteemed panelists. And I would like to brief you and few things I would like to exaggerate. And I own the responsibility also that we talk a lot in the for the plastic and bringing a new alternative plastics for applications. In the country, a lot of decision and discussions are going on in order to come up with the new materials or alternate to the single-use plastics. Even 2 years ago, the Niti Aayog has constituted a committee dedicated to the alternate to a conventional plastic, and that we all are deliberating that how to come up with this solution. Though, as it discussed, one of the fellow panelists have written plastic removal is impossible. So how to erase this word, that is what we are trying to discuss. And at the same time, as you know, that when we talk about the plastics, around 40% of the plastic used to go for a packaging application. And if you talk about this fraction of a 40%, 50% used to go for a food packaging application. That is quite an alarming situation for all of us. In FSSI, we are also working on, I'm chairing this packaging panel of FSSI. And why I'm speaking this, because we have to own a responsibility. We have to tell what we are doing it and what is our responsibility to sort it out. So we are working on those lines and coming up with the possible solutions. You know, when we talk about the Indian heritage, we really truly was into the circular model. We were always utilizing the waste, the resources, natural resources, and finally end up with our natural final compostable material. But as the world progresses, the scientific community has progresses, industrialization, we have landed up to this stage. We are talking about the recycling. And the fact that the government, the country is doing a lot in this respect. If you talk about the Central Pollution Control Board, they have come up with the EPR policies, the enhanced producer responsibility. It means there is a response. If you are producing a product, you are supposed to recycle and fix the circularity of these kind of the plastics up to certain extent. And that has been, this initiative has been taken. And if you're really going to see these models by 2025, the CPCB has said that 100% the EPR has to be enforced. It means that whatever the plastic you are producing, the same quantity you have to recycle back. So that is already, the government has already taken such measures. And you might be aware in 2022, July 1st, we have banned around 14 items, the single-use articles. We have already banned it. And some of the states, if you talk about Assam itself, we banned even up to the less than 500 ml bottles. We have already banned it. It's okay. It's good that we are enforcing, but at the same time we have to find out the proper solutions of these plastics. And when we talk about the circularity of conventional plastic, how long you would like to recycle? The material cannot be recycled for indefinite time. It can go for 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, and end of the day it has to be go into the landfill. That is also a very alarming situation. If you are really going to the street, when we are talking about the recycling and when we are going on to the street and see the street vendors, they are going to have the hot beverages, tea, coffee into the black color polyethylene bag. What it is? Exactly, these are also regulations need to become for all these things, especially on food packaging. This is mandatory that very stringent regulations has to be there, because otherwise it's going to straightforward help to create a problem for a human health. We discuss about the marine life, I mean to say microplastic. Ultimately, what is the fate of the plastics? There are so many reports that the microplastics, even that it has been told that it is in the blood. Everywhere you will figure it out that it is coming into the food chain cycle. That is really going to be alarming, where we don't know where we are going to end up. Certain policy we talk about the recycling and circularity, we said that you just make it a road. You make the pavement. There are hundreds of kilometers of roads have been made. But I was really thinking then there is a abrasion process. When vehicle moves onto the road, it abrases the road, then what will happen? There is a production of the particles. Where it will go, either it will come to the air or it will going to the, as a leachate to the rainwater. We are trying to figure it out the very short, I mean to say short solution that may not be useful. I think we have to think more holistically and come up with the more broader solutions, especially when we are fixing these kind of the material for our application purposes. So that's very important. Okay, I'll just show to you. Can you shift it? I think already. Okay, no problem. So I would like to tell you at IIT Guwahati what we are doing it. We are working on a biodegradable plastics, and our mandate is that to develop a bio-based biodegradable plastic technologies, and technologies what we are working for at a pilot scales. So when we talk about the bioplastics, our purpose is that it has to come from the renewable feedstock, and finally it has go back to the nature by its own fate. That is what our mandate is. We are working for very many applications, whether it is a commodity product, engineering application, or medical applications. We are finding out the solutions. I'm not going to, time is already over. For the kids, see here, when I talk about the bio-based polymer, bio-based plastic, it means the plastic should come from renewable feedstock. Okay, any chemicals known as a bio-based chemical, it means 30% carbon on that chemical has to come from renewable feedstock. If any plastic is a bioplastic, it means the plastic made of a carbon material, no? Carbon kind of molecule. So that at least 30% carbon has to come from renewable feedstock, plant feedstock. Okay, that we call it as a bioplastic. Bioplastic does not mean it will degrade. But if any plastic which considered to be a degradable plastic, it means the plastic made of carbon, 90% of the carbon of that plastic has to convert into carbon dioxide in 180 days time. So when you say biodegradable plastic, it means my plastic in presence of microorganism, 90% of the carbon will convert into the carbon dioxide. Okay? And why it is a good bio-based biodegradable plastic? Why it is good? Because bio-based, it is coming from plant. And biodegradable, it releases the carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide again fix it to the plant, and the cycle is very short. So that's the beauty. If you are really going to dig it out the fossil feedstock, you need millions of years to fix this carbon. So that's what we are very much discussing about bio-based biodegradable chemicals, and in this particular case, bio-based biodegradable plastic. So we are working on those things and trying to complete all different kind of circularity and utilizing these material for very many applications. I'm closing my presentation here. but I would like to show you the kits. This is our pilot plant where we are developing a biodegradable plastic for ourselves, because end of the day it has to produce in a metric ton, 1,000 metric tons time. That's what we are producing. We are scaling it up into the packaging films. Okay, and details I'm not going to show you. We are also working on developing a plastic from a bamboo feedstock. The plastic, it is more or less similar plastic bottles what you have, but after a service life, it will degrade by its own. Okay, so we are developing a technology. We are utilizing the circularity. See, we are starting from a bamboo. We are making useful chemicals, and later on, after a service life, this chemical again go back to the nature. That kind of the circularity, production and consumption, we are discussing about it. You can see these are the toys. It's very good toys. It more or less same you can see, but these are all compostable toys. We really need these kind of interventions so that we can minimize most of the conventional toys. Okay, and sir has already spoken a lot about the edible packaging. Okay, and finally what happened, these plastic has to degrade, compost. We do a lot of studies on this. We have started a center, academic center on sustainable polymer. We are giving master's and PhD degree at IIT Guwahati. It's a unique center at IIT Guwahati in the country that who are giving masters, because there is a green jobs. We have to educate our people who can serve to these kind of interventions. That is also very important. These are all different kind of the exhibition. All this, thank you very much. Session is open for discussion. So we have a limited time, but it is going to be a very important session. Now the floor is open for discussion. And I really request you, all of you, if you have any thought, any doubt where you would like to pitch in, please feel free. Okay, we all are at the same level for discussion. So, yeah, please.
The biodegradable plastics, for biodegrading, you like to undergo a special process. Am I right, sir?
When we talk about the biodegradation, it means the enzymes going to help. Enzymes comes from a microorganism, whether it is extracellular or intracellular. So when we talk about the inner biodegradation compostable plastic, it means when we throw, for India, what is going to be helpful, when we throw this plastic into the soil, it degrades by its own in the stipulated time. This is what we are working on.
Sir, in climate change conferences, they use plastic cups. They say it's biodegradable plastics. But I was told that they have to be degraded in a special process.
Sir, that's what I have given the most emphasis to the students while speaking of biodegradation. I said that if this falls under this particular code, it's going to be a biodegradable under a conditions. Yes. So what happened? I'm not going into this story, but if you are going to see this ASTM standard, temperature is written 58 degrees centigrade. So it means it is going to be degraded at 58 degrees centigrade, but we really don't want, because where we are going to find 58 degrees centigrade, we need a room condition, our backyard condition. That's what the plastic, what we really need, we have to have that class of a biodegradable plastic. So regulation has been made because of certain thought process, but our requirement is something different.
We are using frequently plastic pens in the schools for the kids. The kids use plastic pens for writing and for giving the exams and all. That contributes to a major chunk of the plastic waste, because majority of the time they are use and throw pens. And every 10 days the kid's pen finishes and the kid again asks for the pen. So that, I think, amounts to a lot of waste for the plastic in the school. So can any action be taken for that also?
Good question. I want each one of you to think how you are disposing materials, how you are consuming and disposing, and we have to see the cycle in terms of production, consumption and disposal. Production, consumption and disposal. Now, when we are taking to the market systems, there is no way out. You are absolutely right. I mean, I'm not trying to put a jargon into explaining and answering your question. The pens which are being used are made out of a plastic, and that plastic can be collected back and can be recycled. So one question answer is that. But the point is that how you are using these consumption items, whether it is pens or it is, multi-layered plastics, which is in the form of tea bags, or why we need to go into this system of overconsumption. One of the colleagues mentioned it, how our consumption, Re-City person mentioned it, how our consumption habits are going up. So, पहले हम दातुन करते थे, अब ब्रश करते हैं, ब्रश भी डिस्पोजेबल है, टूथपेस्ट भी डिस्पोजेबल है. These are, so I don't want to name any FMCG here, but the FMCGs have created, that is why the EPR has come, what he was trying to say. Extended producer responsibility is holding the business companies to be, or the businesses, importers, brand owners, to be responsible for the collection they have to make for the product they have brought into the market in terms of quantity. And it is at a very far-reaching, every day there is an EPR, people are putting a lot of questions to the government. Yesterday only the EPR one statement has come, how to handle that. So these are some things which we need to go into our habits of consumption and use and throw and litter.
Similarly, sir, being a doctor, I entertain medical representatives, and every time they come, they bring plastic laminated, the advertisements and the plastic laminated papers, and I say, don't put it on my table. I don't want them to be thrown in the dustbin, and let your company know that you are not supposed to waste paper, and they are waste papers actually, where they can go for e-promotion of their products. Why are they using the plastic papers? Even normal papers, because wasting such paper will be entailing toll on our natural resources, cutting the trees for the same purpose.
I just want to, and then I'll pass it to the chairman and the other people. I was doing, in 2000, I was doing a small study with youngsters like them sitting here, on flower packaging. हम फूल लेते हैं, उसको पहले पैकेज करते हैं. So फूल दिल्ली में, flowers in Delhi are sold in Connaught Place. So in Connaught Place, the same flower is bought by many people. And when it comes to Khan market, the same flower, this is an up market in the city, that is sold for 25 rupees one piece. When it comes to Lajpat Nagar, that is sold for 10. And if it goes to Malcha Marg in Chanakyapuri, it is for 50 rupees. So, segmentation of market. But what we have done is, we have gone into wrapping every flower now. Every flower we are wrapping. You go to the marketplace, we don't condemn. I would earnestly request you, और आप बच्चों को तो खास तौर से condemn करो, उठाओ, लोगों को बोलो कि ये काम मत करो. एक drop of water per second you are losing from the tap. One drop per second means 60 seconds, 60 drops of water. That is equivalent to 20 ml. And imagine one drop going through the day is 24 hours. How many? It is 28 liters of water, one tap, one drop per second. Just imagine. So resources are very finite, what everybody was saying here. तो मेरा यही आपसे इल्तिजा है, मेरी तो जान निकलती है जब मैं देखता हूँ how the materials are being wasted. And why are we to over package ourselves? कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, madam. Absolutely, is very good innovative thought. The pens has to be made with the degradable plastic, so that after service life it has to go. Thank you very much.
There is one more question, sir. We use agar. We were talking about the agar gel-based packing, the bioplastic used for packaging material. Now we were saying that do we have specific instructions, like are the packaging thermostable? Are these packagings thermostable, and how far they are thermostable? And are there any instructions written on those packagings for the consumers, that before consuming those foods, what kind of precautions do they need to take? How long they should wash the product before using, and how they should store the material? And incorporating antimicrobial agents, as said in one of the slides, that we are coating them with the antimicrobials. Do we think that unnecessarily coating those agar-based bioplastics with the antimicrobials, we will be promoting the antimicrobial resistance at the general population level?
Yeah, I think we'll divide this question in two parts. One is when we talk about, when you said the plastic which can be used for a higher temperature service life, that is the different secondary packaging. And if you really talk about the biodegradable plastic so far available, that can go up to 50 to 60 degrees centigrade. Otherwise, thereafter it loosens their mechanical strength. So thermomechanical stability is quite poor. So if you really would like to drink a coffee into the biodegradable cup, the so-called this plastic, it may be, possibly may not. However, at IIT Guwahati, we have already developed our material that can go up to 140 degrees centigrade, where we can drink hot water, cold coffee, or coffee and other stuff. Okay, so that is the secondary packaging. But your question is going into the primary packaging, which is going to be coated into the food product. And that you were talking about when we can use an antimicrobial component.
Exactly, because agar is a very good culture medium for bacteria and fungi.
So now I request Dr. Santosh.
Yeah, actually when we use the antimicrobial agent, that's basically from the natural resources like plant-based antimicrobial agent. So that could actually basically be used to extend the shelf life of the fruits and vegetables or the food being packaged inside that package. So that's actually edible films or coatings are the primary packaging. Again, that such kind of the packaging needs secondary packaging or even the tertiary packaging. So that such materials even can be consumed along with the food items. So that is means totally safe, because rather than using the chemical or synthetic preservatives like sodium benzoate or some other preservatives, it's better to use such kind of these natural preservatives that can be added into with this biopolymers or the edible biopolymers. So that's the main concept or idea, particularly to extend the shelf life of the fruits and vegetables, because 1/3 of the food are wasted, particularly the fruits and vegetables are wasted due to their deterioration or the short shelf life, actually high moisture content. So they have the short shelf life. So that's why we use such kind of the additives.
But madam, concern is that are we going to increase the resistance towards a microbes in the human
longer term
by adding this? But I would like to tell you that it is going to be very much below than the permissible limit.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much.
Can I add?
And also as sir, you asked the question. So edible films and coating has the another advantage that we can consume. So either rather not depend on the environmental conditions, because either we can consume or either animal can consume. So our digestive systems will going to digest this, or even the animal digestive system. So that's the beauty of the edible film.
Thank you very much.
Just one little supplement what you have heard from regarding your question. I think the resistance that you were talking about developing, that may happen in case of antibiotics. But we are not here, whatever I think Dr. Kumar has presented, it is not antibiotics. These are antimicrobial substances that come from natural, normal plant materials and stuff like that. So, for example, if you think about citrus fruits, the rind, the peel contains several antimicrobial components. So we are talking about such materials which are totally natural and edible.
Thank you very much.
Any other question?
What is the biggest challenge policymakers are facing now? Because now this climate change and its effects are very much clear to everyone now. Right?
Yeah, I think this is the question for all of us. What challenges they are facing when we talk about the production, though possibly the different level, the different stakeholders are working, especially talk about the researchers, they are working. Now the time has come to implement these small innovations at a greater extent. Because if you really, I would like to give an example. If you talk about the consumption of packaging in a IRCTC system, in a railway, we really require more than 5,000 metric ton resin, even replacing one small sector. Can you imagine? So the fact that that level of a production capability has to be established for a different applications. That is the one. Though we know the science, we know the technology, now the technology has to be commercialized and scale up. The industry should also come forward, and many such interventions are happening. So now the rate of adopting technologies and thinking on these lines has moved multifold in the years. So very soon you would like to have seen these kind of solutions. As I have mentioned you that we have started these kind of centers, especially on this particular sector to come up with a quality manpower, though who can contribute into it. In the similar sector, I mean, in many sectors, things are happening. But the fact that there is a word optimization, okay? So the fact that there are a plus and minuses are there when we talk about all the plastics is going into the recycled or what will be the fade end of the plastic. So the fact that if there is a worst scenario of the plastic, the incineration is an option. Many of the countries, if you go to many of the countries, they incinerate it. Okay, so it's happening. There is a need. I mean to say, there is no straightforward answer for everything. So we have to optimize until we will not have the best solutions.
No, if you incinerate, then there is another.
It's there, but
when you talk of climate change, it is again a circular.
Yeah.
If you get rid of plastics, for instance, if you are trying to get rid of the ball pen, then you have to go back to the olden system fountain pen. I think that is the best. And one fountain pen, I remember in our childhood, maybe we must have lost one or two, but then you still keep on doing that. But now you throw everything.
And in fact, now we were thinking about utilizing our best practices in ancient time.
Yes.
We were using the natural product for a packaging and all. If you go to the south, we are still using this banana leaves and all, and many different posts. Some of article I said that someone has showed this kind of trays made of leaves.
Yes.
But we were using this font since ancient time. So now the time has come where we have a local, such kind of the resources, we have to utilize this the fullest so that we can minimize or balance it, the system.
So you have to going back to the olden system, but then when you talk of these plastics burning, then it will have a secondary POPs in the climate. So, you never know where to hit this now. If you are trying to see a small injury, then you have to create a bigger injury. So that is how we are dealing with. But then we have to break a balance somewhere.
Thank you.
So, if there is no more questions, sir, let's thanks to all the esteemed panelists who were here, dais with me, and thank you very much for such an enlightening talk, discussion, and we learned a lot during this session. And our email IDs and details are anyway there in the program schedule. So you are most welcome to please write back to us if we could not able to address certain issues. But this is going to be very pertinent, though we have taken some examples related to the plastic, as our fellow colleagues has said, that because of limited time, but it is equally applicable in the different other sectors. Let's try to utilize our resources as best as possible in possible manner, and think in a better way. Now, what I should say, I would like to thanks to the Movisound Foundation who have given us an opportunity to discuss on this August forum, and thank you very much for joining us.
Okay, I think we have had a very insightful panel session here. All of us panelists have agreed that we have to make our life sustainable as much as possible, change our lifestyle as much as possible, as quickly as possible. Before we finish, there is a minor formalities that needs to happen. For that, I would like to request Mr. Shravan Kumar from Mobius Foundation to please come on the dais.
Thank you to all eminent panelists over here On behalf of Mobius Foundation, I would like to thank the eminent participants and had a very wonderful discussions on circular economy. The theme of this session and this overall conference is educating for climate action and sustainability, which has been covered very efficiently by the eminent panelists on the subject of circular economy, which is required. Circular economy is in our ethos, but the education is missing now. So we have to bring it again, and with the deliberations from such an eminent panelist, it is again going to come in our curriculum, and the way Katia sir has simplified his communication for these kids, I would like to thank him, sir, that this has to be done so that we can deliver at the different age groups. Different age groups can be treated in a different way so that they can learn and get it, absorb it for the actions to be taken for climate action and sustainability. Thank you, everyone. I would like to request chair of the session to give souvenirs and kits to Dr. Mr. Latha. Please. Mr. Dr. Manoranjan Hota, please. Dr. Santosh Kumar. Dr. Prabjot Singh Sodhi, sir. It's always been pleasure to hear you and your deliberations on the circular economy. Thank you, sir. To Dr. Avik Mukherjee. And please, I would request Sodhi sir to present souvenir to Katia sir.
Such a nice panel you have made. You covered all, education, land, and yes.
Hospital.
Sir, going to give some alternative very soon, I think so.
This is Dr. Ruchi Sachan from Miranda.
Please, Ajay, ye aapki aage, Dr. Sahab.
No, you go ahead. I'll give you.
Just a minute, give it me. This is the best time in the conference. Huh? With the kids.
ये एक फोटो खींच दो कानून इसके अंदर.
Sir, you have to share with all of us.
Yes.
ठीक है.